be right about there. So roughly 44.4 degrees, I think. Yeah, that looks good. It's not perfect, but oh well. It'll do for now. And that's it. You have a mushroom. Yay! We're already a lot closer than we were last time at this time. Let me just check here. 1600 seconds. So 1600 seconds divided by 60 is 26 minutes. So I'll just try and wrap this up now. If you try to render this, it doesn't work. Okay. So keep your cap selected. Go into the textures panel, because the reason why it won't render is because Blender is only telling the camera that this texture, or actually, Blender is telling itself that this texture is just for real-time Blender game engine stuff, or even it doesn't even work in the game engine. It doesn't even work. So what you need to do is go into the texture panel, add a new texture. We'll call it our mushroom cap again. Oops, forgot my underscore. Our mushroom cap. Change this type over to image. And down here in image, since our image is already loaded in the UV image editor, just select it from this drop down menu. Okay, there's one more thing you have to do. The coordinates here, which is how the image is mapped onto the object, you have to change that to UV since we have unwrapped the mesh. And just select your UV layer. This you don't need to change because a UV is flat, so it doesn't change a thing. So if you render it this time, you get a mushroom. Now that's very quick. So there's a few things we can do to improve this render. Let me just switch over and maybe reposition my camera a bit. Let me add it empty. Change its properties so that its size is 2, just so I can see it, and just track the camera to the empty. So that's select your camera, then select your empty, press Ctrl T, make track a track to constraint. And you can now just move the camera anywhere, and it'll still point at the empty. Really cool. So to improve the render, we can just go into the world buttons, activate environment lighting, and just a bit further down in gather, change the samples all the way up to 12. And this gives us a nice render. There. Okay, it's looking kind of plain right now, but we'll fix that later. You can also activate the edges if you want in post-processing. If you had a 30 edge, you'll probably get some cartoony edges in there. Yep. Not bad. But I don't like that much, so I'll just deactivate that. And that's basically it. So before we do anything else, let me save, and I will go and cut this video because I cannot have video over 30 minutes long because of memory issues. Because I only have 3 gigabytes of memory in my laptop, and 1 gigabyte is taken up by Windows Vista as soon as you start it up. So I only have 2 gigabytes to work with. So I'm just going to go and save this video, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so we're back, and now before saving, I was about to parent the objects one to the other, so let's do that. So select your eyes first, then select your stem, and then press Ctrl P and set parent to object. Now what this does is that the eyes now follow the rest of the stem. However, if you try to move the eyes, you get this weird glitch, so we're going to fix that later. But first, select your cap, and then select the stem again. Just press Ctrl P, which then links everything. So the way to fix this, at least to my knowledge, let's add a constraint. Now, a constraint is pretty much a bit like a limit. It's something that defines what an object can do, I think. Let me look it up. Ah, the wonders of Google. Define constraint. Oops, constraint. Oh god, that's no good. Okay, just forget it. So, constraint. Let's select our eyes, not our eyes, the mushroom's eyes, and add a constraint. Select the limit location. Now, since the object's center is right on the origin, 0, 0, 0, the only thing you have to do really is just check all these boxes. If it's not centered, just copy the locations into these boxes, the respective boxes, because this is X, Y, and Z, and just copy those in there and then check the boxes. Now, however, if you just try to move them, it doesn't work. If you try to move the stem, it still doesn't work. We get the same weird glitch, like bleh. So what you need to do is change this over to local. It's without parent, which means it evaluates only the eye's location. It doesn't consider the parent object. So if you move the parent object, it still moves the eyes. Pretty cool. So let's add the same thing here, just so that we can't tear the mushroom apart, because that would not be very nice. Cute little mushrooms. Can't tear them apart. Okay, so now that works. That works. However, you can still rotate the stuff, which is no good. But you can fix those with more constraints. Don't forget the space that stuff is calculated in. Don't forget to change that. So anyway, let's move this dude all the way over here. And since we're going to be making the green mushroom now, let me save in case the same problem happens earlier, as earlier. So let's select all these parts, duplicate them by Shift D, and just bring them back to the center, right there. So first thing you have to do is change the names of these objects. So instead of R, we're going to make it G mushroom. Sounds like some sort of superhero thing. G mushroom. Okay, I'm fooling around a lot in this tutorial. Maybe because it's Super Mario stuff. Playing around. There. And don't forget to change the data block name as well in the object data. So just copy the same names here, paste them over here, and just do the same thing here. Control C, Control V. Done. Okay. Now, these, the eyes and the stem, we don't actually have to worry about because they're the exact same color, same everything. So the only thing we really have to deal with is this cap. So select your cap, go into the materials panel, and you can see here that there's this button which says 2. Now this means there are 2 objects that are using the same material, these 2 caps. So what you need to do is click this button to make a single user copy, and just rename it